What is good, everybody? This Manny, and this is the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel, the Talking Sports with Manny podcast. Appreciate you guys hopping on, man. We're gonna talk fantasy football. This is the road to 2K subs for your boy. Please subscribe, please share. So we're going to talk fantasy football, and I've had a lot of people DM me on Twitter, and they want to know certain things about what's happening this week. So I said, you know what? Let me just go ahead and come on here. I was going to do a Commanders pod, but my Commanders are kind of trash right now, so we're not going to talk about that. But looking at the running back landscape, if you drafted zero running backs, what zero running back strategy pretty much means is that you go, wide receiver, you go other positions, then you get whatever running backs are the left. So it doesn't mean don't draft a running back. It just literally means that you're not drafting any of the top 12 or top 24 running backs in the league. Give me 1 second, John. I'm going to be right back. Give me 1 second. I'm back. Sorry about that. Had to take care of some business real quick. But yeah, we're talking about fantasy football and the running back landscape. Okay. If you drafted zero running backs in fantasy, you're pretty much winning a lot of your leagues right now. And that's what's happening to me. In the leagues that I didn't really care about my running backs, those leagues I'm actually winning right now. For example, there was a league that the only running backs I drafted was Eli Mitchell, Elijah Penny, Melvin Gordon, right? But then my receivers and tight ends and other positions were like nice and stacked. Now, Rashad Penny, he's the guy, right? Melvin Gordon is now the guy. Eli Mitchell, he's hurt, but I've made other moves. So it just shows you that sometimes when you grab these high-end handcuffs, another guy that I was able to acquire via trade before the before the injury to Swift was Jamal Williams. Now Jamal Williams seems to be a back that's getting it done. So a lot of times you can draft your stud wide receivers and your stud tight ends and your stud quarterbacks, and then you go ahead and you end up with some of these RB2, some of these lower tier RBs. When injuries happen, because all running backs do get hurt, then you end up with, Jamal Williams. Even for the guys who drafted James Robinson, right? James Robinson was not a guy that everybody was excited about. He was coming off of the injury, and he looks amazing. James Robinson is a top 5, top 7 running back so far this year. So let's go ahead and just dive into the running backs. This week, I love James Robinson a lot. He's going to be facing a Houston defense that has been pretty bad. The Jags defense has been much improved. The Jags defense is much improved because of the running game for the Jags. So James Robinson looks great. Jags defense looks great. So James Robinson is a guy that I would start this week. Okay. Travis Etienne is there, but Travis Etienne has not been a threat to James Robinson whatsoever. We're also going to dive into a few more running backs on the list. Now, if you have Damien Harris or Ramadri Stevenson, you're kind of mad, or you don't know who to start. Each week, it might be somebody different, but here's how I look at it. Damien Harris is the guy. He's the workhorse. He's going to be the guy that gets all the goal line carries, right? All the carries, the bulk of the work. But the difference between Ramadri Stevenson and Damien Harris is that Ramadri Stevenson is now that pass catching back. And in PPR, you want those point per reception points, right? So you're going to go Ramadri Stevenson as the guy that has the upside. And then you have Damien Harris as the guy that has a safe floor. So on a typical week, Damien Harris might get you 14 to 16 points on a regular week, right? But on a regular week for Ramadri, he might get you anywhere between 15 to 20 because of that PPR element. Bronco Players, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like, please subscribe if you haven't. Bronco Play says, trade Connor for Sutton standard league. I would. I think that Sutton is going to be a very, very good wide receiver this year. And you're going to see what Sutton does tonight. I think Sutton has a big game tonight. Sutton is the guy that Russell Wilson trusts the most out of all the guys. So give me Sutton over James Conner. James Conner hasn't really had that same effect that he had last year, So that's that. Shafe Dre Bug, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, my brother, man. Appreciate you, man. So I know you was asking me in the DMs about running back options. So we're here talking about the running backs right now. I'm going to give you some low-key guys that you can also use. Not the guys that are like the premier guys or the top-tier guys. We know those guys. I'm going to give you guys some of the guys that nobody's really looking at, a guy that you can plug in, and they might be able to get you some points. Now, I also advise you guys to go ahead and get Brian Robinson Jr. He has now been activated. He's now been practicing. The team has 21 days to call him up onto the big roster, which I think maybe in a week or two, even if he plays, it's a slow approach with Brian Robinson Jr. That was a guy that I was able to draft with my very last pick, and I stashed him in my IR. He's going to continue to stay in my IR until he's activated to that active roster. He's going to be the guy that takes over the job for Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson is not that running back that he's more of a receiving guy, a third down back. Brian Robinson is going to be the real deal. He's going to be able to be the guy that gets the bulk of the carries, kind of like Damien Harris. That's going to be that Brian Robinson role. And then Antonio Gibson is going to have that Ramadri Stevenson role. So you can kind of look at those two guys. These two guys are two backs that are going to end up top 24 backs or maybe outside the top 24, but barely. So they're going to be guys that can get you by on certain weeks. So Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, he has 5 touchdowns this season. He's a guy that I don't personally like, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire, but he's been good this season. Somehow, some way, he gets touchdowns. Somehow, some ways, he's putting up points. He's averaging 18.9 fantasy points per game. That's amazing. That's awesome. You cannot beat that. But back to Damien Harris and Ramadri Stevenson. So Damien Harris is averaging 13.2 fantasy points a game, and Ramadri Stevenson is averaging 11 points per game. So it just goes to show you that both guys are pretty much close in numbers. Really doesn't matter who you start between Damien Harris and Ramadri Stevenson, but I'm going to go with the guy that has the edge. Adam Weber, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Please like, please subscribe. Adam asks, he's asking, start Eagles or start Jags defense this week? Both of these defenses are two defenses that I'm starting all over. But if I had to choose between the Jags and the Eagles, I'm going to go to Eagles. The Eagles have a special defense this year. And not only that, the Eagles are the number one DST in fantasy football right now. So you want to ride this hot wave while it's still hot. Go Eagles over the Jags this week. Miles Sanders, he's another guy that's not one of my favorite guys. He was a guy that I sold off. I traded him away in the offseason in my dynasty leagues, and he's been pretty good this year. He's averaging 16.3 points a game. He has 3 touchdowns, and he has 356 yards rushing. So you want to continue to ride Miles Sanders until he cools off. J.K. Dobbins is coming into his own. He had a great game last week. He's averaging 14.2 fantasy points per game. Like I said, he had those 2 touchdowns. But the thing that about J.K. Dobbins that I love is that he's going to be able to get a lot of receptions. And if you are receiving passes as a running back in PPR leagues, receptions are key. So, yeah, J.K. Dobbins is a good play this week. Devin Singletary might be a good play this week versus Pittsburgh. We know that Pittsburgh has that rookie quarterback, so it might be a game where Buffalo comes out and jumps out to a lead, and then they maintain that lead by running the ball. So Devin Singletary could be a pretty good back this week. Now, Adam, you're not gonna like what I'm gonna say about this question right here. So Adam writes, do you think Pittman can break 20+ points this week? Now, being that the game was on Thursday night, I don't like Thursday night games. That's number one. So that's going against Michael Pittman. Number 2, Patrick Surtain is a grown man. That's 2. Now, is Patrick Surtain going to cover Pittman all night? Is he going to follow him? Is he going to shadow him? Possibly. But the pros for Michael Pittman is that he's going to be hyper-targeted because the Colts defense, the Colts offense isn't that great. In losing Jonathan Taylor, maybe Pittman does go off. Maybe I talked myself into starting Pittman tonight. Maybe. But for me, I benched Pittman in 2 leagues. I'm a big Pittman fan. I even said that Pittman has a chance to be a top 7 wide receiver this year. But in 2 leagues, I'm benching Pittman where I have better options. For example, I'm benching Pittman and I'm starting Terry McLaurin. He's playing the Titans, and the Titans defense isn't that great in terms of covering these wide receivers. So I'm starting Terry over Pittman. I could be wrong, but with everything going against Pittman tonight, Patrick Surtain, and as well as Thursday Night Football, something is telling me not to start Pittman, only if I have a better option. And there are other leagues where I don't have no better option, then I am starting Pittman. I'm hoping Pittman does go over 20+ points this week. So I don't think he does, but he definitely has a chance to. Adam says, can I replace him with Allen Robinson? No. DJ Moore? No. Corey Davis? No. So, yeah, in your case, you go Pittman tonight. Even though I don't believe in Pittman tonight, I believe in Pittman more than I believe in Allen Robinson, more than I believe in DJ Moore, and definitely more than I believe in Corey Davis, just because Corey Davis has 2 other wide receivers in Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson to fight for targets. So, yes, I would go Pittman tonight in your case. Like I said, guys, I'm not confident in Pittman tonight, but in a case like this where you look at the landscape of your wide receivers and say, you know what, Pittman is better than all these guys, that's when you start Pittman. But if you have better options, like there's another league where I think I'm starting like Diggs and Jamar Chase, and, I have, weapons like that. So, Time On Sports said Allen Robinson. Bleep, no. Yeah, so we're not starting Allen Robinson. Not today, not ever, until Allen Robinson starts to get, some consistency going, man. And, Matthew Stafford only has 4 touchdowns this year. On top of that, Matthew Stafford is leading the league in interceptions. He led the league in interceptions last year. We had a debate that Stafford is not a great quarterback. He's a good quarterback. If you think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, then Stafford and Kirk Cousins are around the same level. It is debatable. If you look at the 2 great years by Matthew Stafford, one year it was the Megatron year when Megatron was just doing crazy stuff. He had 41 touchdowns that year. And then last year when Cooper Kupp did some crazy stuff, and then Matthew Stafford also had 41 touchdowns. So, yeah, I don't trust the Rams offense right now. I don't know what's going on with Matthew Stafford and his elbow and the play calling. So, yeah, stay away from all everything Rams until things get better for that franchise. We talked about Singletary. He might be a decent option this week. AJ Dillon has been hot. AJ Dillon has been okay. Hasn't been great. He was good week 1, and then week 2 and week 3. In week 4, it's like, what are we doing? I mean, week 3, what are we doing? So let's see what happens in week 4 and moving forward. Can we really trust AJ Dillon? 211 yards rushing so far, 9 receptions for 69 yards on the score. He's averaging 10.8 points, 10.8 fantasy points a game. It's not bad, but we need more, especially for those of us who believe hardcore in AJ Dillon. But he's playing the Giants. The Giants are going to be so lowly this week, and definitely has a chance for AJ Dillon to, have a pretty good game. All right, so Jeff Wilson, he's been solid. He's averaging 10.6 points a game. He does every single thing that you need him to do. So I don't know if Chef Dre Boog is still on the show watching, but Jeff Wilson is a guy he was out there. You can make a trade for him. He's a guy that you can acquire rather cheap. You know what I'm saying? He's been solid. He's going to get you like 10 points a game. Okay. And in that offense, they love to run the ball. And we saw what Jeff Wilson was able to do last week. Mark Ingram, he's another cheap option, especially if Alvin Kamara doesn't play. But I'm hearing reports that Alvin Kamara is going to play. But it's good to kind of just hold on to Melvin Ingram. I know you asked me about Mike Boone. I don't think that Mike Boone gets the lion's shares of the carries. It's going to be Melvin Gordon. I think that Melvin Gordon is going to be the bell cow. And Melvin Gordon is a top 20 running back when he's not fumbling, number one. Number two, when he's getting, the bulk of the carries. Let me see. It says, how about Algier? Algier is a good play this week. I'm actually starting Algier in one of my leagues. He's my flex this week. I believe it's going to be between Algier and Huntley in terms of splitting that backfield. So Algier has a 50% chance to, come up big as well as the other running back. So, yeah, I like Algier this week. I like Algier over Boone. That's for sure. Kareem Hunt, he's a guy that's due for a big game. He hasn't had a big game in a while. He has 200 yards rushing. He has 11 receptions, 73 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. Those are solid numbers. He averages 12.6 fantasy points per game. So he's a guy that somebody was asking about Connor earlier. Connor has just fallen off. Ezekiel Elliott has fallen off. Those are guys that I'm not going to start. I'm not messing with any Rams players. I told you guys, stay away from all Rams players. Okay, you can start the Rams defense if you choose, but stay away from these Rams players. Rams defense is playing Dallas. I think that's going to be a pretty good streamable option for you if you're looking for a defense to play. Stay away from Cam Akers. Although Algier plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is a tough defense, I still like the upside for Algier. Last week he had a great game. This week, a tougher opponent. And on top of that, he's going to be splitting that backfield with Caleb Huntley. So, like I said, he has a 50% chance to have a big game. But if they're throwing the ball and if they're losing and Algier is involved receiving the ball, then you're going to enjoy him. Anthony, man, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Please like, please subscribe, and please share. It says, would you trade away Najee Harris for James Robinson? If it's a redraft league, yes, I will trade away Najee for James Robinson. Now, you says I have Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, Jeff Wilson, and Rashard Penny, full PPR. You have other running backs that are capable. I mean, you can get away with starting Miles Sanders and Jeff Wilson, or Miles Sanders and Rashard Penny based off of matchups, or Miles Sanders and Damian Pierce. It's just that your second running back, you don't know how these guys are going to perform. It's like what you're going to get out of Miles Sanders next week. Okay, redraft? Oh, yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Make that trade. Goodbye, Najee Harris, and hello, James Robinson. Najee Harris is a name that performed well last year and has not performed the same this year. But I'm kind of skeptical about Najee Harris. I want to see what Najee Harris does this week with Kenny Pickett being the new quarterback. So he could be good, he could be bad. But if there's a time to sell, this is the perfect time to sell Najee Harris before it gets worse. I don't think it can get any more worse than what it is, but you just never know. Hey, anytime, man, anytime. This is what I'm here for. So let's look at wide receivers. Chris Godwin is getting healthy. Chris Godwin, it's time for a big game. He's playing ATL. Tom Brady is excited. He has all of his weapons. So Chris Godwin, I love him this week. Adam Thielen has been on and off, but it's good that he's getting more and more involved. Adam Thielen is looking like he's going to end up with another 1,000-yard season. He's looking like he might end up with over 80 receptions this year. So the touchdowns is where, when he's getting touchdowns, Adam Thielen is like one of the best in the entire league. He's a big touchdown guy. So I think he has a big game this week versus the Chicago Bears. For those of you guys who listened to me 2 weeks ago when I said pick up Chris Olave, he's now yielding fruit. He's now the number one wide receiver on that team, regardless of if Michael Thomas is going to play or not. Now, Michael Thomas is not practicing again. Michael Thomas might miss this game, which means a huge week for Chris Olave. Another problem is Jameis Winston is also not practicing, so it could be another week of Andy Dalton and maybe another week of Taysom Hill faltering touchdowns, which affects a guy like Chris Olave. But so far, so good. 21 receptions, 335 yards, and a score. So, yeah, I do like Chris Olave a lot. Brandon Cooks, he's been up and down this season. This could be a big week for Brandon Cooks versus the Jags. They're going to be playing from behind. So, let's look at this question. V. Rondo, appreciate you hopping on, man. Appreciate you hopping on. He says, hey, man, nice channel. Appreciate you, brother. It says, out of these three, Godwin, DK, Waddle, which two would you start in Philly or Jacksonville's defense? So out of these three, I already talked about Godwin. I love Godwin this week. It's hard to bench Waddle after the hot start this season, but I can understand why you might want to bench Waddle. DK had a great game last week. It's really tough because these are three of my guys. I think the safest would be Godwin and DK. I feel comfortable starting Godwin and DK. Waddle is more of a chance with Teddy Bridgewater, and Tyreek Hill is still on the other side. So, yeah, I will definitely go Godwin and DK Metcalf. And then in terms of defense, I've answered this question before. I'm going to answer it again. Give me Philly's defense this week over Jacksonville. We got Nick Swank in the building, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Please like, please subscribe, please share if you haven't. It says, my team is Russell Wilson, Eckler, Zeke, CD, Cortland Sutton. You got Dalton Schultz, Mike Williams, and it says I have barely any running backs on my bench. It says then I have Gabe Davis. I need to trade Zeke. You need to trade Zeke. Okay, yeah. What should I go for? Okay, so yeah, Zeke. We talked about him earlier on in the show. Zeke has been terrible this season. If you can package Zeke and maybe Gabe Davis, you can possibly get a nice running back. I think guys that you can target right now are guys like Dalvin Cook and some of these other running backs that are, falling off. Even if you package a Gabe Davis for Najee Harris. We just talked about Najee Harris. A lot of us don't trust Najee Harris right now, and you're a Steelers fan. So, I mean, you can package, Gabe Davis for a Najee Harris, or you can even package one of your lesser, guys. I mean, you have Eckler, so that's solid. You just need to get that RB2 going, and you have no depth. So, yeah, I would say package Zeke in one of your least expensive or least interesting wide receivers to then get a running back upgrade. I'm pretty sure somebody's definitely going to bite. San, what's good, man? Please rock with your boy, man. Give your boy some. All right, it says, do I trade Patty, Debo, and CMC and Drake London for Montgomery, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, and Russell Wilson? Oh, man, yeah. You sold me at Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs. Anytime you can get a Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs, you might want to pull it. And then this looks like a one quarterback league. Trade Patty, trade Debo, trade CMC, and London. London is nice, but, you're getting Justin Jefferson and Diggs who can put up crazy PPR numbers and get you 40 points on any given day. So, yeah, I would definitely do that deal. Give me Montgomery, give me Justin Jefferson, give me Stephon Diggs, and give me Russell Wilson. Even though that we're not fully in on Russell Wilson right now, I would definitely do this deal. Great deal for you. Nick says full PPR, by the way. Okay, says, and everyone in the league is low on Zeke, so it's hard to. Okay, so maybe you don't trade Zeke. Okay, maybe you try and trade. I know you love CeeDee Lamb. I know you love Cortland Sutton. Maybe you trade one of your top tier wide receivers. Let's say you keep a Mike Williams, right, and you trade away CeeDee Lamb. Trade CeeDee Lamb right now that his stock is going up. Or even Cortland Sutton. After the big game by Cortland Sutton tonight, you should be able to move Cortland Sutton for maybe another running back. So, I mean, sometimes when people don't want the guys that you want to move, give the people what they want, but make sure you're getting the maximum value. So, yeah, don't feel bad about trading CeeDee Lamb or Cortland Sutton or Mike Williams. You have 3 great wide receivers. Trade one to get an upgrade at running back. It says, I'm looking for a RB2, Zeke for Brees straight up. I mean, I would do that. I would do that for sure. Then it says Zeke and Gabe Davis for Brees Hall. Zeke and Gabe Davis for Brees Hall might be overpaying, but at the same time, I believe in Brees Hall more than others. I believe that Brees Hall has a chance to get some crazy, crazy receiving work this year. Brees Hall could possibly end up as a top 20 running back. If he does better than top 20, you most likely won your league. In a lot of my leagues, I have paired Eckler with guys like Brees Hall. So, I mean, I feel where you're coming from, and I like where you're headed. Man, anytime, B. Rondo. Sam said, thanks, man. It says, I dropped the sub. Appreciate you, bro. And it says, and do you think I should start Trevor Lawrence or Russell Wilson? Or should I trade away Jamar Chase for a big-name quarterback? No, you don't need a big-name quarterback. You can definitely rock with Russell Wilson and Trevor Lawrence the rest of the way. I think that's a nice little combo to, keep Jamar Chase. He's going to tell you, Jamar Chase is going to end up going crazy. And those who have kept and endured the bad Jamar Chase are going to start to reap the benefits of Jamar Chase when he finally gets this thing on and popping. I would say start Russell Wilson tonight and pray. And then maybe next week you start Trevor Lawrence. Because Trevor Lawrence versus Houston, that's not a bad play. It's not a bad play. And the game is at Jacksonville. So Trevor Lawrence at home. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence at home might be nice. Yeah, go with Trevor Lawrence at home over Russell Wilson. That's what I would do. It says, Andre says, I regret getting Kittle so much. Look, I feel you. I feel your pain. I have Kittle in one league or a couple leagues, and I just traded Kittle today in a dynasty league. I ended up getting a 23 first. I ended up getting a Tyler Lockett. I sold George Kittle high. So what you can do is wait for that next blow-up game. George Kittle and Jimmy G are a nice combo. So just wait for that one nice breakout game, and once that breakout game comes, sold. You sell them for whatever you can get. Like I'm in a league right now where I'm trying to buy low, and I'm trying to trade Garrett Wilson for George Kittle because I have 0 tight ends. So, in some cases you're buying low on George Kittle, but then you also want to sell high. If you're not selling high on George Kittle, don't sell low. It's either you hold or you sell high. And then if you're like me, you can buy low on George Kittle. San says, okay, I will. One more. Should I trade Swift for Kamara straight up? I wouldn't. I like Swift more than I like Kamara this year. And both guys are my guys. I have multiple leagues where I have Kamara and Swift. But if I had to choose who finishes with the most points, I would say Swift. But then again, Swift hasn't been healthy. But then again, Kamara hasn't been healthy. So at the end of the day, give me Swift over Kamara. It says, so should I trade Cortland Sutton for someone like Henry or maybe package with Zeke? Cortland for somebody on Henry's level. Yeah, you can do that. You can definitely do that because right now Zeke's value is so low. You can trade a Cortland Sutton and a Zeke, and I'm pretty sure you can get you a Derrick Henry type guy, especially if Cortland Sutton has the kind of game that I think he can have tonight. So yeah, most definitely. I mean, anybody in their right mind would want to have Cortland Sutton and then Zeke, especially if they have multiple running backs and they just want depth and they're looking for wide receiver help. I can definitely see somebody going for a Cortland Sutton and Zeke and giving up a guy like Henry or a Dalvin Cook. I've seen Dalvin Cook get offered for trades, or people are getting rid of Dalvin Cooks. People are getting rid of Kamaras. People are getting rid of some of these top tier or big name running backs because they've just been so bad this season. But it's just 4 games in. Next comment. Andre says Shanahan just doesn't use him much in that offense, other than blocking, but when he does, he's effective. Absolutely. It's just one of those things where if you drafted Kittle in the top 4 rounds, you're crying right now. If you drafted Kittle at good value, mid rounds of the draft, you feel good about it. And then, you always grab one late. So with Kittle, for me, the reason why I don't like Kittle is that he's going to give you 4 or 5 games that are going to put you in the playoffs, or that's going to make you remember how elite he is. But at the same time, the injuries, right? The ineffective way that the coach uses Kittle. Those are things that scare me. And then Kittle's not a big touchdown guy either. So, yeah, it's just tough, man. It's just tough. I'm just glad that I don't have much George Kittles on my team. Clap, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on this stream. It says, yo, Jerry Jeudy or Romeo Dobbs full PPR. Man, this is tough. This is tough because Jerry Jeudy plays tonight. Romeo Dobbs plays on Sunday, but I'm a big Romeo Dobbs fan. And Romeo Dobbs, he's playing the Giants. Give me Romeo Dobbs. Give me Romeo Dobbs over Jerry Jeudy. I actually have Jerry Jeudy benched in a few leagues. So let me stay true to my gut. My gut tells me give me Romeo Dobbs over Jerry Jeudy. San says, someone dropped Chris Godwin, and I picked him up this week. I feel so good about that pickup. And I picked up Brian Robinson this week. I feel good about that myself. Yeah, somebody dropped Chris Godwin in my league, and I literally cried because I was number 9 on the waivers, so I was not able to put in that claim. I put in the claim, but when I woke up this morning, I looked. I didn't see Chris Godwin on my team, and I literally shed a tear because I wanted Chris Godwin. I'm a Chris Godwin guy. Chris Godwin's put him into your lineup this week for ATL. He's going to have a heck of a game. And for those of you guys that have been listening to me, I said pick up Brian Robinson Jr. I told a lot of people to draft him with your very last pick in the draft and stash him in your IR. I'm telling you, he's going to be a fruit, and he's going to get a lot of the goal line carries. Those goal line carries that was going to Antonio Gibson are all going to go down towards Brian Robinson Jr. when he's fully healthy. The thing is, he has to be fully healthy, and I don't know when he's going to be fully healthy. Some of the other guys that I'm interested in this week in terms of wide receivers, Gabe Davis, Robert Woods plays the Washington Commanders, so he has a chance to get all the bulk of the receptions, being that Treylon Burks is out. So just some of the guys that you can just stick into your lineup: Corey Davis, Devin Duvernay. Rashad Bateman is not practicing right now, so Duvernay seems to be like a decent start this week. Clap says, that's what I was thinking. LOL. It says, we got Stephon Gilmore on Sutton. That could be a good spot for Jeudy to eat. Absolutely. I mean, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, for me, honestly, I don't mess with Thursday night football games. It kind of messes up my teams, especially if you don't get that hot start or something bad happens to where a player gets hurt or whatever. Players get hurt any day of the week. It can be a Monday night. It can be a Sunday afternoon. But these Thursday night games, the turnaround, like these guys just played on Sunday and now they have to play, on a Thursday. Sometimes it works out for you. Sometimes it doesn't. But we'll see. I'm going to answer a few more questions and then I got to go. All right. So San says, my 10-man team has Jamar Chase, Jay Jetta, Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin. My wide receivers are stacked out, man. Sheesh. It says after that, after that trade I made today, my bad, for JJ and Stephon Diggs, which of the 3 should I start? Man, this is tough. I would say you got to go. You got to go Justin Jefferson. You got to go Stephon Diggs. I would say go Jamar Chase. I really like Chris Godwin this week, but I would say go Jamar Chase because it's hard to bench Jamar Chase. It's really hard. But, yeah, I would go Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and Stephon Diggs. Those are the 3 that I'm going to go with. Smokey the Cat was good. Appreciate you hopping on the stream. It says, thoughts on this trade: Kareem Hunt, Khalil Herbert, and David Montgomery for A.J. Dillon and Tyreek Hill. Ooh. It's not bad, but it's not great. I like the Hunt, Herbert, and Monty side, to be honest. But I can understand why you might want to make that trade. It's an even trade. I would say it's an even trade because Tyreek Hill is great, but then with Teddy Bridgewater, we don't know how that's going to pan out. A.J. Dillon has been up and down outside of week 1, so I would say it's an even trade. It's an even trade. It says, Andre says, do you like Olave versus Seattle? Yes, I do. Start Olave with confidence. Dre says, I got Montgomery and Algier. Okay. You got Hunt, Montgomery, and Algier. I would go Hunt and Montgomery, but if Montgomery's hurt, then you have to go Alshire. You know what I'm saying? It says, should I trade? Is that Chark or Gage? Okay, I think that's Chark or Gage. If I have McLaurin, Claypool, and Waddle, I would say try to trade Chark or Gage if you can get something for those guys. If not, you might have to trade Terry McLaurin. I'm sorry, you might have to trade Terry McLaurin to get an upgrade at running back because if it's me personally, I don't want Chark, I don't want Gage, so you're gonna have to either give me Waddle or give me McLaurin if you want a good running back from me. Just an option. So Jeb says, who should I start in my flex? Terry, McLaurin, Michael Gallup, Isaiah McKenzie, and Adam Thielen. I would say Terry. That's easy. Give me Terry. Terry's getting all of the work this week. Especially if Curtis Samuel is out, Dotson's already out 2 weeks. So Terry is in for a big week. Half PPR, start 2. Godwin, Olave, Hines, and Connor. Don't fall into the Hines trap because it might not work. Just go Godwin and go Olave. Those are the 2 safest, to be honest. It says I got Lenny, Brady in my lineup. That makes a difference. Absolutely. It says thanks. Hey, man, anytime, fam, anytime. I said, should I try to buy low on JT while he's you go buy low for JT right now. You'll be surprised where JT is going. So, guys, I'm going to try to come back on tonight and continue this, but I got to go right now. So, you guys be blessed, and I'm going to catch you guys on that next stream. Anytime. Y'all be blessed.